So welcome everybody, good afternoon, and you're all very welcome to Webinar Wednesday from Sight and Sound Technology, the very first one of the year for the 5th of January. It's worth saying happy International Braille Day from yesterday, or a belated happy International Braille Day. We celebrated World Braille Day rather yesterday. My name is Stuart Lawler from Sight and Sound Technology, and with me today is my colleague Sharon Lyons from Sight and Sound Technology here in Dublin. And indeed, we're very lucky to have gotten Sharon, because Sharon's normally on the road going all over the country, visiting schools and doing all sorts of things. So we nabbed Sharon just before schools return to talk about Microsoft Outlook, which is something that we've had requests for actually for a while on Webinar Wednesday, and it came up at the AT Social Hub as well recently. And speaking of the AT Social Hub, if you're interested in feeding back to Sight and Sound Technology about our services and what you might like to see from the company in 2022, you might like to put the AT Social Hub in your diary, the next session of which is on the 20th of January at the new time of 2 p.m. That's Thursday, the 20th of January at 2 p.m. Keep an eye on our social media, or if you're on our email lists, of course, you will get more information about the AT Social Hub as well. Now, today, we'd love to hear from you. If you have questions about Microsoft Outlook, you can either raise your hand by pressing Alt and Y on Windows, Command Y on the Mac, or activating the raise hand button, or you can type in the chat by pressing Alt and H on Windows, Command and H on the Mac, or activating the chat button on your mobile device. And I'll be keeping an eye on chat and raised hands, and we will make sure there's plenty of time for questions. We don't have Carl Braley with us today. He's on a couple of days, well-deserved days off, and he will be back with us for the next Webinar Wednesday in February. So today we are talking about Microsoft Outlook. I suppose it's one of those applications, Sharon, that I sort of find I live in Outlook, because I use it for not just email, I use it for calendar, and I use it for notes. And we might be interesting to hear what other people use Outlook for, because it's got lots of things. People tend to see it as email only. The other thing we're doing today, a little bit of interactivity in today's session. That's something we want to bring into our webinars on an occasional basis. We have a poll for you today, because we're celebrating, as well as a whole lot of other things, as well as World Braille Day on the first webinar of 2022. We're celebrating 5 years since Sharon Lyons here launched Sharon's Shortcuts. We were all in different lives, I suppose, at that point in terms of work.
5 years ago.
5 years ago is a long time. So
yeah.
I'm gonna launch a poll on Zoom in a sec. You should be able to see the poll either with your screen reader or magnification. It will appear on your screen, and you can select from 4 choices. So the question we're asking you is, if you know of Sharon's Shortcuts, and Sharon will talk about this in a sec, I'm sure, you will know that there's a weekly email. It goes out every Monday morning at 9 a.m. And I think for many of us, it sort of starts the week. So Sharon's always curious to know what people would like from that email. And certainly it's one that Sharon would like to get some feedback. So we're going to ask you what you'd like to see as the next topic being covered on Sharon's weekly email. And there's 4 options. They are Zoom and Teams. Very topical, I suppose, over the last 2 years or so. Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, or Google Docs and Sheets. You can select one of those. We'll keep the poll active until the end of the session, and then we'll be announcing the results. So please do vote in the poll. You'll have an hour and a quarter or so to do so. And I'll put that poll live in just a moment. So Sharon, very happy to hand it over to you. Thank you so much for giving us your time today and joining us on Webinar Wednesday. We know you're busy and we appreciate the time. And I'm looking forward to, you gave me a keystroke for Outlook already today that I didn't know. You did,
no way.
You did,
when we were just talking about what we were going to cover.
Exactly, yeah. We were doing our prep. So
I'm always very surprised when I teach you something.
Oh no, believe me, there's loads of this. So I'm looking forward to learning more about Outlook.
Okay.
So we're very happy to hand over to you, Sharon, and thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, Stuart. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm quite excited about this poll, actually. But just to explain, if it's okay, Stuart, just explain a little bit about a shortcut of the week. Oh, it just popped up on my screen.
The poll, yeah, just to say the poll, because somebody asked on chat, the poll has just been launched now, so you should
Ah,
be able to see the poll on
oh,
screen. And people are
oh,
participating, I
this
can
is
see already. Yeah.
interesting. So this is a new thing for me, so I'm very excited. So shortcut of the week is an email that I send out every Monday morning that you subscribe to, and I have, as Stuart says, I've been doing it for 5 years, every Monday. Even when I was on a trip to see my relations over in Taiwan, I didn't miss that week. So a bit of time difference I had to work out, but yeah, so every Monday I've done a shortcut of the week, and it started off kind of random, just different ones that popped into my head, and then I found that I started to do different topics. So I've done in the past on shortcut of the week, we've done web browsing, we've done shortcuts with the Windows key, we've done Outlook. Actually, we did Outlook in 2018 and 2019. It kind of went over those 2 years. Well, it wasn't 2 years long, but and I've done PowerPoint, I've done Gmail, and then recently, when we had our new term, new start at the beginning of the last term, Stuart, I was here during the webinar, and that brought us right back to the beginning, to the keyboard shortcuts 101, just the main kind of ones. And it's all looking quite even at the moment on the poll. So Stuart, can you hear the results of that poll?
I'm seeing a little dashboard of the percentage of people. We have 62% of those who are here have participated, but I haven't actually seen the results just yet. So I'm gonna look at them very shortly. Someone on chat is asking how they subscribe to your email, Sharon.
Yes, very good question. So you can just email Stuart if you ask, or that's probably the easiest thing to do, and he'll just forward that on to me. Or you can go to the website, which is sharons-shortcuts.ae. So Sharon's SHARONS -shortcuts SHORTCUTS. I can't spell today. .ie. So there's a little sign up thing on the homepage of the website, and the website has all the previous shortcuts of the week. There are a lot, there are 260 odd, and yeah, so you can, and the other thing I just wanted to say as well, you can go to the website and there's a search box on every page of the website. Obviously, you can go to the search box and you can search for a shortcut, and that works very well rather than going back through all the shortcuts of the week trying to find something. So you can put in your topic and it will give you some search results.
Okay, and just Sharon, just before we go on, because it looks like everybody has actually participated in the poll now.
Brilliant.
So the winner, at least from what I can see, is Zoom and Teams. On 34% of people at this meeting would like Zoom and Teams. 18% of people want Microsoft Word. 21% are interested in Excel, and 29% of people are interested in Google Docs and Sheets. So.
Oh, and it just changed there again. Maybe just leave it for a little while.
Maybe someone else. Okay.
Well, you're going to leave it up anyway, won't you?
Yeah, we'll leave it open for a little while and we'll come back on that. But it looks like Zoom and Teams at the moment is winning.
Right. Brilliant. Thanks for that. That's understandable. Okay, you might have to help me with Teams, Stuart, but I'm used to Zoom. So shall we crack on with Outlook then?
Let's go.
Yep. So I am going to share my screen and make sure I share JAWS as well. So have JAWS.
Button, desktop, ZP2,
okay.
Inbox, Sharon.Lyons at Sight and Sound Technology.
So I have, hopefully you can all hear JAWS there. Stuart, can I just check with you that you can hear? Could you hear the JAWS
Reply.
there?
Anne-Marie Costello, Braille Sense and...
Oh, okay.
Replied. Phil Warner Reed Group.
Yeah,
Stuart
we can hear
Lawler
Jaws
Reed
perfectly.
That's all good. Great. Okay. So just to say that I don't know everything about Outlook, but I do use it every day. I use it mainly for email, and I use the calendar, and I might start using notes because I was talking to Stuart about that the other day. So that's mainly what I use, is the email and the calendar. I use search a lot in email to kind of keep track of different things. I know that Stuart uses folders. I do have a few folders with important emails that have got kind of logins and stuff in them, but I don't generally organize my email messages. But here we are in Outlook. So I just to say also, when I'm in my
Stuart Lawler Reed Braille Sensor.
So I'm in my inbox, which is the usual view that you come to when you start Outlook. I have just a list of emails. I don't have the reading pane switched on. I find the reading pane a pain. So I have that switched off. And the thing is, with the reading pane, it kind of gives you another part of the screen that shows you the details of the message that you're on in the list. And it automatically assumes that you've read it because it showed it in the reading pane. And I wouldn't necessarily have read it that quickly when I'm arrowing through my emails. So I switch that off. And to switch off the reading pane, you go to the view menu. Just to show you quickly, I do Alt-V,
upper ribbon,
PN,
menu, leaving menus, right to move through items, press up or
and then
down
O
arrow,
for
Alt
off.
followed by V, PMN, bottom, Alt off checked,
There's
Alt
off
followed by
there.
V, PN, O.
So just to let you know, Alt-V, PN for pane, and O for off.
Sharon, yeah, just before you go on, we're just noticing one or two people with hands raised. So for anyone who is raising their hand, we will stop in a while for questions. We have a bit of learning from Sharon first, but we will get to people's questions. So please, if you want to speak, put your hand up and I will get to you in the next little while.
I really like participation. I don't really like listening to myself too long. So I'll just go through some basics and then we'll have a chat. And thanks, Stuart. So where was I? Oh yes, another reason for not having the reading pane on is I was reading online. They said it's probably better not to automatically open an email, just in case it's an email that you don't recognize or some kind of spam or something, or yeah, so probably best to be aware of that. So now we have our basics. Then we can arrow up and down in our inbox.
Stuart Lawler and Stuart
We can press enter to open and read a message. We can press escape to close the message. If you want to do a new message, is Control N.
Control N, untitled dash message left parent HTML right parent to edit, type in text. And
we start by typing in who it's to. So I think I'll send Stuart a message, and as soon as I start typing, it makes a funny noise and it gives me a list of possibilities. And I think the two Stuarts are at the top there.
Stuart Bever, Stuart Lawler,
there
Stuart
we go.
Lawler at site and sound to
and I can press enter to put in Stuart's email. And then I can tab. I tab
CC edit, BCC edit, subject
to
edit,
subject.
Type in text, Alt
I can type in Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And I can press tab then into the body of the message. And once I'm in the body of the message, I can type my message.
Enter.
Happy
New
Year again.
Again, exclaim. Enter. Fan. Sharon.
Okay. And then to send my message, I do Alt S.
Inbox-Sharon.Lyons@SightenSoundTechnology.e-
If I didn't want to send that message straight away, I could do Control S, which would save it into my drafts. If I want to reply to a message, let's find a message. Well, any message will do. So I position on the message and I can do Control R. And that will that will open a new message, and it will automatically put in who it's to, because I'm replying, and it will automatically put in the subject with the letters RE before the subject name. So as in replying to this particular email. So the subject line is there, and you type away your email and you do Alt S to send. So escape out of that. That's actually a group of people on that particular email. So if I actually wanted to reply to all of them, I would do Control Shift R.
Control Shift R. Braille Sense and Onyx Pro graphic.
And now I will have more than one person in the to field, or all the people that were actually on that email thread. But I'm not going to send an email to everybody there. I already said Happy New Year to them. And then the final one, I guess, is forwarding. So Control F.
Control F.
If I wanted to forward to somebody.
Pro graphics dash message left parent HTML right parent to edit type and text.
And it puts me in the to field to edit. So that's the to field, because it's asking, okay, you want to forward this, who do you want to forward it to? So I would type in an address and then I would tab
CC edit, BCC edit, subject edit, FW.
And you'll notice that the subject now has FW as in forward. So I don't need to change that. And I could tab
edit
down to the body of the message, type in my message, Alt S to send. The only other basic one would probably be send and receive. So if you're waiting for an important email and you want to keep checking whether it's arrived, a bit like a refresh in a web page. So a send and receive all messages is F9 or Control M. I think Control M. I'll do Control M for now.
100%. One of two tasks of completed
and it goes very quick.
Cancel all button to activate. Press space
and
bar.
It's
Alt
gone
C, 100%.
Before Jaws had a chance to finish. But if you're not sure what has happened and you want to know that you're all up to date, you can use your JAWS key to read the status bar at the bottom of the screen, which I think is JAWS key and page down.
Items in view 13096.
That's right.
Unread items in view 426. Progress, all folders are up to date.
There you
Connectivity to your server connected to Microsoft Exchange.
Okay, that sounds good. We're all up to date. So I think that's probably the basics of sending and receiving, replying to emails. Okay. Do you want to stop there, or?
I'm just replying to, I'm just acknowledging a message in chat as well from Svetlana. She was asking what version of Microsoft Outlook is being used for the demo. Alt S is not working for her in 2016. We're using 365, the client that comes with Microsoft 365. I would have thought Alt S should definitely work in 2016 though.
Yeah, I've been using it for years. You could try Control and Enter. Sometimes it's set. I know Outlook, when I use a new version of Outlook, it says if you want to use Control and Enter to send, you can set that up, because Control and Enter is how to send in Gmail. So if you're going between the two, sometimes you kind of start doing Control and Enter. In the other one,
Svetlana has just confirmed the Control and Enter does work for her.
Oh, great. Great.
Sharon, before because I know you have lots of keyboard shortcuts to share with us for Outlook, which I think would be great. We do have some hands raised. We might go to those just to get some questions. But before that, I thought we should mention as well an email that we got from John Morris, and I know John is here today as well. He had a number of questions. So I think between us, we'll try to answer some of them. Yeah, they're great questions.
And Mark as well, I think.
And Mark Chanley, yeah, Mark and Bernadette. So one is about, what is the address book? What's the difference between the address book and the contacts folder in Microsoft Outlook? And it's a good question. And the essence of it is that if you're on a shared, for example, a Microsoft Exchange mailbox, in the address book is usually found your company email contacts, so people who are internal to your organization. And then your contacts folder in Microsoft Outlook will be where you can put all your own contacts externally. You normally can't edit anything in the address book. That's controlled centrally by your admin, although you can copy entries from the address book into your contacts folder, but not vice versa. So I hope that explains that.
Yeah, so the address book is like a company thing, and the contacts list is one that you make yourself. Yeah, that's how I understand it.
And I think the other question that John had was around inserting attachments where there might be multiple attachments, and I suppose looking for the most efficient way to do it. And I think when Sharon and I were talking about this earlier today, we both kind of felt the pasting from a file location, for example, like File Explorer or a particular folder into an email is definitely the quickest.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I've probably spoken about this before as well, that you can actually, if you have a file copied, you can actually paste it into Outlook itself, and it creates a new email for you with the file attached, and it calls, I think it uses the file name as a subject or something. I can show you that if you like.
I did not know that. That's even better.
Well, no, it won't work for me probably.
File Explorer, item
so here I am in Files
3D
Explorer.
desktop documents.
Go to Documents.
Shell folder VS. Shortcut of the week. 11 of 48.
Shortcut of the week.
Sight and Sound Technology. 12
Sight
of 40.
and Sound
Enter.
Technology.
Sight and Sound.
Oh, no, hang on.
Sight and Sound Technology.
I think I've got an Outlook webinar.
Outlook webinar.
There we go.
39 of 48.
I've got a Word document called Outlook Webinar. So if I copy that, Control
Copy
C,
selection to clipboard.
switch back to my inbox, and then if I do Control V,
paste it from clipboard. Outlook webinar -- message left parent HTML right parent to edit type and
so it's got two. I can tab down.
CC edit BCC subject edit Outlook webinar docs.
Yeah, so it automatically puts in the subject the name of the file, and then
dialog attached Outlook webinar
there's my
17 KB 1 of
attachment, and
edit.
And then I eventually get to the body of the message. Now, if I wanted to do more attachments, I could go back to my File Explorer, copy something else, and come back and just paste it into this message. So if you created a message and you're in the body of the message, you can go off and copy files to your heart's content and come back to the message and paste them in. But if you want to have a look at what attachments you do have, if you're in the body of the message and you just do Shift Tab.
Attached to move to an item, press the arrow keys. Outlook webinar docs 17 KB 1 of.
And if I had more than one, I could move through the attachments there. So the attachment space, if you like, is just before the body of the message. So you can always check your attachments. But I'd usually stick to being in the body of the message and just paste away like with the files if I needed to. Sometimes I need to paste a few files in. So I just go off, find them, copy them and paste them into the message there. And it works perfectly for me.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Sharon.
I'm not going to send anyone my notes. They're a bit scrappy.
And thank you, John. Great questions. Now, we have a couple of raised hands. So we're going to start with Arthur. We're going to start with Arthur Aston. Then we're going to go to Mike Brace. And then we have one more person whose name I will struggle to pronounce, but we'll get to that in a sec. If you can keep your questions as concise as possible, please, because I know there's lots of people who want to ask questions and we want to make sure everybody gets a chance. So if you can keep your questions nice and short, we'll get through a whole load of them in the next hour or so. So Arthur, we've had Arthur before. It's great to see Arthur back. And Arthur, you should be able to unmute yourself. And we'd love to hear from you. I think we have you, Arthur.
Yep.
Am I with you now?
You're with us. How are you?
Hi, Arthur. Happy New Year.
Hello, and Happy New Year to you both. Yeah, I put my hand up, Stuart, initially. Seems a bit of a strange question in one way, but you put the poll up. Now, I'm totally blind, so I rely on text-to-speech. I have no idea how to read the speech on the screen in Zoom.
Okay. How did you do it, Stuart? Because I don't know.
If you tab down to when you see it, Arthur, there should be an option for polls on your on the screen. If you tab across in the Zoom window.
Sorry, Stuart, I can't see anything at all. So
no, sorry, I'm using the word "see" very liberally. I'm blind myself, so yeah. So if you should hear polls. And when you go in there, you should be able to interact with the polls. Or there's the question and there's 4 choices.
No. Didn't get that, Stuart.
Okay.
If I tab.
Actually, Sharon, you're a host. You're a co-host, so you'll see a slightly different view of it.
Okay. But there's polls anyway.
Yeah.
It's in the middle.
I was listening carefully in case I got something come up. But I won't really go on the side, but I had an update announcement came on while I was on another Zoom call this morning about splitting the screen to be able to read text. But I didn't really, to be honest with you, register very much with that. I thought I'd go back to it some other time. But from what you've said, I should really just hear polls come up as an announcement. And then what? I'd just arrow down the screen or tab down the screen.
Tab. You will use the tab key in Zoom.
From James Butler.
And you will you will use the tab key basically, Arthur.
Okay,
sorry,
got that.
That's Sharon's phone.
Sorry.
Yeah. And okay.
Yeah, I do have a question, but I could come back to it later because it's a general question, not with the area of the topic, which
okay, well, I'll tell you what we'll do, Arthur. If we have time later, I'll make a note and we'll try and come back to you. If we don't, send it to me in an email, and if I can't address it, we'll find someone who can, if that's okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Arthur.
I might be looking into that for if I'm doing Zoom and Teams as a shortcut of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so now we're going to go to Mike Brace. Great to see Mike here. So Mike, you should
stop sharing for a second and just put my phone on busy.
You should be able to unmute yourself. Hi, Mike, we have you.
Is that coming through?
Yeah, good to hear you.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, mine's one that I find really annoying, and it seems to be, I think, a 365 Outlook. When you went into the address to put in and you found the 2 Stuarts, previously with Outlook, if you put ST in, you got a list of everyone starting with ST that you previously sent a note to, and you just scroll down and entered. On 365, you can't seem to turn that off. It seems to go into recent people only, and sometimes you only get 2 or 3 and not some of the most recent ones. Is there a way of turning that off and going back to the system where you've got a list of all the STs that you'd previously emailed?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because it's so annoying, especially otherwise you've got to go into the other option, which is 2 and place bar and put STE in, and then it gives you a list, and then you've got to scroll down then and eventually you get that. But whereas before with the other Outlooks, you literally got all the STs, just come down and entered on it. Or you got the most recent one or frequent one that you used, but you can't seem to do that with 365.
I think this is something to do with what they call the autocomplete list, Outlook autocomplete list. And actually, Oren has just put something on chat. He thinks it's a Microsoft bug. It could well be a Microsoft bug. But this is to do, and actually, Mike, I've had a similar experience to you. The older versions of Outlook seems to be better at that, and I don't actually think it's a usability thing. Or sorry, I don't think it's an accessibility thing. I think it is an Outlook. It's a funny thing. I don't know visually, Sharon, if you don't get anything different than what you had previously in previous versions.
I don't know, it does change. I know a new thing I do find annoying is that if I'm typing in someone's email address from scratch that I haven't actually emailed them before, or maybe I've copied it from a document or something, and it comes up and says, oh, suggested email, and it, as long as you've got an @ sign in it, even if the email is wrong, if I've mistyped it, it puts it in the list as an autocomplete and says suggested email. Yeah, try this one. And it's like, no, that's not right. And I can't seem to get rid of that. So there is things that change in Microsoft that aren't always helpful.
And there's not a toggle to turn it off then? You can't
no,
turn the recent emails or whatever off? I
don't think so.
Okay.
I haven't come across, because I was trying to see if I could turn off that suggested thing, and I couldn't find anything. I can try and find out, but like if Oren's right, it might just be a bug. I know that sometimes if you put in the wrong email, I know you could get rid of them off of that list. There was a way of narrowing down and removing them from that list if they're not the correct email. It seemed to remember your incorrect typing kind of thing. But I don't think you can switch off that autocomplete, Stuart. Can you?
And it's not affected by whether or not they're in your address book, because I am usually pretty lazy. So usually if I've emailed or replied to someone, then their address automatically then has gone in the list of people that I've corresponded to, whereas I don't then tend to put them in an address book or contact list. Or
I'm the same.
My understanding, Mike, is that Outlook almost keeps a separate, I think they call it the autocomplete list, which it stores. And I think what it does is it stores the last about 150 email addresses you corresponded with, which is separate to what would be in your contacts. So yeah, there's two kind of things going on, but good question. Yeah.
If I have somebody that I've corresponded with that I haven't corresponded with recently, and they're not in the autocomplete, sometimes they're not, I would use a search in Outlook and try and find them and then copy their email address. But I don't know, that might be a bit long-winded for people.
And can you add to that list automatically, you know, not just by sending stuff? Because when I go into that recent list, half of the people aren't people I've recently wanted to contact, and there's only 3 or 4 in there, whereas there should be 20. You know.
I'm not sure I'm not sure what criteria it uses, and you can't manually edit that list.
No,
or at least not easily manually edited anyway.
Oh well, thanks for that, and I'll persevere, I suppose.
We'll all suffer together.
And listen, good to talk to you. Thanks for joining us.
Talk to you, yeah.
Okay, that was Mike. And
yeah, there's a good suggestion in chat there. Sorry, Stuart, I just saw it pop up on my screen from Michael Cassidy, who says that, oh, it's gone now, but it says, can you turn off autocomplete in the options? You might be able to switch off autocomplete in the options.
You might be able to, yeah,
that's true.
I kind of miss it though. I kind of like it. But
I use it all the time, to be honest. I do.
And we got a message from Oren. Oren suggested contacting the Microsoft Accessibility Desk, the Microsoft Accessibility Answer Desk, telling them about that. That's a good idea too.
Feedback.
So they have a dedicated team for people with disabilities using. You know, who are I suppose users of their products who want to feedback. So that's all our raised hand. There was another hand raised which seems to have dropped, so we may have dealt with the question. But if anyone else wants to raise their hand, Alt and Y, or of course you can access the chat with Alt and H. So Sharon, we're happy to hand back to yourself.
Okay, I might share my screen again.
Stop. ZP toolbar parent WND. Stop share left.
Brilliant. We have Jaws.
Is Jaws there? Yep.
Jaws is fine, yeah.
Tempted to have a look into the options for that autocomplete, but I may end up looking for a needle in the haystack. Sorry, I should have stopped Jaws there. Yeah, might have a look at that autocomplete switch off, because that rings a bell now. Thanks, Michael Cassidy there. That rings a bell that there are some settings about it. I did find some settings. Where did I find? I found some settings on how to make sure the reading pane doesn't come up in any of your folders. That was good the other day. I always learn a lot when I'm doing shortcut of the week and when I do a webinar like this, because I go off and just see if there's anything new or interesting.
Right, we just got a message from Norman Octon who says, no, don't look now. There are literally hundreds of options. I think he doesn't want you to have to delve through the options now. So maybe we'll
save me from that. Thank you.
We'll come back on that one.
Come back to that. Yeah.
In the future.
Thank you. Yeah. I use search a lot, and I know, Stuart, you use the advanced search. Or do you still do that? You use the advanced search. Actually, there was a question, I think, from Mark who said, can you search for a word in the inbox? So, gosh, what should I search for now? So I can press either say it right, F3 or Control E for search. So I press whatever I feel like pressing at the time, but they both do the same thing. So I can do Control E.
Control E, upper ribbon, type the search and use the up and down arrows keys to navigate sub-menu.
And it might give me some suggestions as well. It has a drop down. But what shall I search for? I don't know, maybe Outlook. Webinar, maybe. And then I press
Webinar, enter. Searching. Found 241 results. Leaving menus. Leaving ribbons. All mail items. Sharon.live.
Okay, and then in my where my inbox or list of messages will usually be, I'll have the list of search results. So I can arrow down.
Anne-Marie, Zoom, Stuart Lawler invites Stuart Lawler FW : webinar Wednesday.
And yeah, so I have various different emails there, some of which are talking about today's webinar. I can press, I can open them and check them, and I can press escape when I'm finished.
Escape, inbox -Sharon.Lyons.
And that will take me back to my inbox. The advanced search, well, I don't really use the advanced search actually, because the normal search seems to give me what I want, even if I have to kind of scroll down a bit. And of course, it's, as with any search, you put more information you put in, the better the results. But the advanced search is Control-Shift-F.
Control-Shift-F, combo box advanced find. Search for the word left parent s right parent :
And this gives you options to search for the word, which is what I was doing anyway in the normal search. But it also says, if I tab around here,
and : edit combo, subject field only.
So I can say if I want the word only in the subject field, or
subject field and message body.
Subject field of message body. If I arrow down there,
from ... button,
I can
from
put in
edit, type it.
If it's from a particular person, I can search for that.
Sent to ...
If it's sent to a particular person. And so there's loads of different options in there that you can choose, so you can get really advanced with your find and go through that.
I think this is a really, I suppose, just in terms of maybe a scenario where these type of searches can be useful. So just recently I was looking for, I knew I had received an email from somebody, one of our suppliers, that was making reference to an update, and they had sent a link in that email, and I needed to retrieve that email again. So I was able to search for the name of the supplier and the word update in subject field or message body, and it pretty much got it instantly for me, rather than me having to troll around through lots of mails from that person to try to find it. So if you know, exactly as you say, if you know what you're looking for, and the more information you can give it, then you will actually yield quite good results from the advanced search. But the Control E might be a little bit faster if you just want some general words.
Yeah, so that's Control-Shift-F for the find, and F3 or Control-E for just the normal search, the basic search.
And just to say that Oren has very kindly put in chat the list of steps you can use to turn off the autocomplete. So for anyone who wants to
There you
do
go,
that,
Mark.
it's in
Mike,
the
is
chat.
it Mike?
If people can't access the chat or are having difficulty seeing it, just let us know.
Yeah.
But it's all in the chat, all the instructions from Oren. So we send out Oren a Sight and Sound t-shirt.
We have t-shirts.
Well, we will have someday. Whenever we have them, we'll send one to him.
We've promised a lot of them. Oh dear. Okay. Right. What else? That's probably the main bits of the Outlook that I use every day. I also use. I guess the other thing, actually, and there's some questions on this, was sorting. So if you wanted to find something, yes, you could search for it. But if you wanted to sort your inbox differently, that's a possible way of finding things too. So I think we got a question from Mark and John about this, Stuart, about the sort. And there is a shortcut. Sorry, I got my cheat sheets here. There is a shortcut to get to sort, which is Alt-V.
Alt-V, upper ribbon, tabs, tab expanded.
AB for arrange by.
Arrange by table, date button selected, Alt+D.
And then I can arrow down.
Ab from button, Alt+F to button, Alt+T.
To
categories button, flag status
flag
button,
status if you use them.
Size button,
size, subject. So I can choose, or even we've got attachments there. If something has an attachment, I could organize things by attachment. I'll just escape out of that because it's a bit cumbersome. Alt-V, AB. There's another way of doing it. Sorry, let's just stop JAWS there. So Alt-V, AB for arrange by, and arrow down through that list. You can also, if you're in the inbox, am I in the inbox?
Phil Warner replied.
I can shift tab twice.
Button, sort messages button to activate, press enter. Sort, arrange your filter messages button to activate, press enter.
So that was twice, and if I press enter
menu to move through items, press up or down arrow R, unread mail R.
So now I can filter by unread mail,
flagged
mail,
mentioned
mail, whatever that means.
Leaving menus, arranged by list box.
And then we've got our date
from button to button.
To
categories button.
Categories if you use them, button. Flags if you use them. So that was a shift tab twice.
Escape button, sort, arrange
and
your
I
filter
think,
messages button to activate.
My Zoom window's in the way here.
Meeting control.
Just
button, sort messages button to act.
And the sort messages one there is actually if you want to do ascending or descending. So if you choose what you want to sort by, and then the other button there is for ascending or descending. And if I tab again, I should get back to my list.
Anne-Marie Costello.
Mentions mail, Sharon, just so for people who maybe is mail that you're mentioned in. So if you're, and this is used a lot, I suppose, again, within companies, if you're writing, so if I'm writing to Sharon, but we want to mention our colleague, Carl Brayley, we want to make sure Carl is also aware of this, and we mightn't have put him in the CC. We can put the @ sign before his name, and then type his name in the body of a message, and that will give him an alert that he is mentioned on this email as well.
Right.
So that's a relatively, I think, a relatively new feature in Outlook. Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen the @ sign in the person's name. Is that something in a company as well? Would it be more within a company?
Yeah, I've only ever seen it being used sort of through the address book, although I'm not actually sure that it can't be used externally as well. So, you know, we could send an email, for example, and mention one of our nice participants in the audience here today, but I don't actually know if that's the case.
Yeah, I haven't played with that. I've seen it on various emails. Yeah, that's something to play with. So yeah, hopefully that answered the questions about sorting. I didn't sort my email because I might not be able to get it back to what I'm used to. Yeah, so I'm a bit scared of using sort, which is why I use search, because I can just escape out of that and go back to my inbox as it is. I'm not brave, not very brave. Okay, shall we have a look through some other questions that we received?
Yeah, just
We
while we're
answered
doing
them
that,
all.
I just want to mention that Robin Christofferson, who's in our audience, has mentioned that the shared system sounds, in other words, JAWS, only seems to be available when you're logged in on the desktop. He's logged in using iOS and can't hear it. And I have come across
Oh.
this before. It's very infuriating, and it's a Zoom issue. I've been on meetings on iOS and haven't been able to hear shared audio as well. And I've know other people have come across it too.
So
So
you're
very, very sorry about that, Robin. It's
so Robin is taking my word for it, basically.
it's
to
one of
go
these
through.
it's one of these Zoom idiosyncrasies, I think, and I don't know why it does it. Very, very annoying. But I have seen the very same problem several times when I've been using iOS. So
Right.
there you go.
That's not good.
Not good at all.
Okay. Oh, yes. The moving to other folders we haven't done yet. So wonderful shortcut called Control Y.
Control Y. Go to folder dialog. Preview. Inbox :428 unread message. Level 1. Calendar.
This is
Inbox
where I can arrow
420
down
calendar.
to
Drafts
my
2 items.
drafts
Sent items
or my sent
1 unread message.
items
Deleted
or
items.
deleted items, and I can move to that.
Sent items
I go to my
enter.
sent
Level 0.
items,
Sent
for
items
example,
Sharon.Live.
and now my list is on
Ryan
my
Hines. Stuart
sent
Lawler. Happy
items.
New Year. Wet 05
And there's that Happy New Year again message I sent to
2022
Stuart.
14
I'm sorry, I'm so used to Jaws talking in the background. I should stop him when I'm talking. I've been told about that before. Apologies. And then if I want to go back to my inbox, if I'm in my sent items, I can actually do Control Y and go back that way, or I can do Control Shift I.
Control Shift I. Inbox Sharon.Lyons.
And that takes me back to my inbox. So yeah, Control Y,
go
for a list of folders, arrow down.
Level 1. Drafts
Or you can also press the first letter. So if you wanted to see,
contacts closed.
We can go to our contacts from here if we wanted to.
Escape.
And you can always get back to the inbox by doing Control Shift and I. I know someone was saying that doesn't actually work for them all the time. Was that Mark was saying Control Y doesn't always work. You could try F6 would be another way. So F6 moves around the screen, and so it would move between your list of messages and your folder list and the ribbons. So if I press F6,
status bar,
and the status bar, status bar,
press F6, upper ribbon,
ribbons,
F6, leaving menus, leaving ribbons, list box, Anne-Marie Costello,
okay.
F6, folders, preview,
there we go, folders.
Lyons at Sound Technology.
And now I can arrow
Level 2,
up and down,
sent items, deleted items,
and I can move to my different folders there. So I could go to my sent items from there.
Sent items Sharon.Lyons.
And I'm back in my list again. So every time you move to a folder, it puts you in your list of messages, which is very handy. So you don't have to F6 around again. Control Shift I back to
Control
the
Shift
inbox.
I, inbox Sharon.Lyons at Sound Technology.
Stop Jaws talking. I know where I am. Thank you, Jaws. Okay. What else do we have? Ah, yes. Are we ready to go into calendar yet?
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to say, before we do that, some people are interesting conversation on chat. Some people are hearing JAWS and they're using their iOS app. Some people are not.
Oh, right.
So some people are able to reproduce Robin's issue. Some people can't. I have reproduced it on several occasions. Yeah, definitely the calendar is one to talk about, and we've had a few queries about the calendar. Maybe before we do the calendar, Sharon, one that I wanted to flag, because we talked about this yesterday, is the notes feature in Outlook. It's very simple.
Yes,
it'll take all of 1 minute to tell people about, because there's not much to it. It's a quick and dirty way to take notes. And there's nothing fancy about this. It's just text. but from anywhere in Outlook, if you do Control-Shift and N for notes, you can create a note. Very, very handy.
Control-Shift-N, untitled -note, note text edit, type in text for the note.
Note. So I can put in anything here, like a telephone number or remember. Oh yeah. Remember. If I can spell.
Remember
to put the bin out. Or something like that. But it wouldn't necessarily be a reminder, would it? It would be just a note about something. And then, do I just press escape then, Stuart? When I'm finished?
Enter. Escape. Inbox -Sharon.Lyons at site.
Now, if I want to get to my notes, I know that there is a shortcut for this. Control-5 will take me to my notes. Control-5.
Notes -Sharon.Lyons at site and sound technology.e-outlook icon view list view. Remember to put the bin out. 1 of 48.
There it is.
To move to
1 of
items, use the
48.
arrow keys. 14 of 48.
Oh.
Remember to put the bin out. 1, 2 of 48. 3 of 48.
I have a lot of empty
4 of
ones here.
48.
I know what that is as well. That is when I have accidentally pressed Control-Shift-N instead of Control-N for a new message. I don't know why I do that sometimes, but I do. I press Control-Shift-N and I get a note and it's like, oh no, I didn't want a note, escape. And it obviously records that. So you never lose a note if you do Control-Shift-N.
Sharon, I'm leaving this session in your very capable hands for 2 moments whilst I go to pick up a parcel. The joys of working from home, everybody.
Yes.
So I will be back.
Okay. Right. So let's have a look at switching views while we're here, because we've just switched a view to notes. And actually, I find like visually I can see the screen and it's organized my notes in a grid with the icons, which I don't really like. So I always like things to be in lists so I can up and down arrow through them. So I might just, while we're here, I just wonder if I can do Alt-H.
Alt-H, upper ribbon, tabs, tab expanded.
Let's tab around here.
Menu, new item, delete button.
I could delete it,
sub menu, change view button, collapse.
Change view.
Enter, current view toolbar, notes list button.
I'll have a notes list, thank
list
you.
Box, leaving menus, leaving
That's
ribbons.
better.
List box, left parent notes, remember to put the bin out.
Okay, that's my note then at the top of, that's the top, yep.
Left.
Can't go up any further. That's the top of the list. So it's got the most recent note first. Well, that's handy to know, actually. I might use notes more often. So switching views, because I don't want to be in notes forever. So I think I can do Control-Shift-I. Yes, I can. Control-Shift-I will always take me back to the inbox, or I could have done Control-1 as well. So Control-5 takes me to my notes.
Table notes -Sharon.Lyons at site and sound tick.
Control-1
Inbox
will always take me to my inbox or to my mail view. Control-2 will take me to my calendar. Control-3.
View 5 total events 15.
Control. Let's try that again. Control-3.
Card view list box. Sharon Lyons.
Oh yeah, I don't really use the contacts list. I tend to use the address book, and the address book actually is Control-Shift-B for the address book.
Offline global address list. Search edit.
And for me, this is kind of the Sight and Sound address book because it's a company-based address book. So I can look up people in the company and find their contact details there. And I will escape out of there. Actually, and let's just do Control-1 to go back.
Inbox-Sharon.Lyons at site.
To inbox. It's like coming back home, isn't it? To the inbox. Yes. Another question I've just realized from John, just before we go to the calendar, is that, yeah, I was looking at creating a distribution list. And he was asking that, could you just get a list of email addresses and create a distribution list easily from them? And unfortunately, I cannot find a way to do that, but I did find a shortcut for creating a list. The only thing is that you then have to add people into it. And the shortcut is from anywhere in Outlook. It's Control-Shift-L.
Control-Shift-L, untitled dash contact group, name edit, type in text, Alt+N.
And it calls it a contact group, not a distribution list. It used to call it a distribution list. So you have a contact group, you give it a name like test or something. Test group, I might call it.
Space.
And then you have to add the members in, which I think is Alt-H.
Alt-H, upper ribbon,
and
tabs,
B,
tab,
which
expanded,
isn't very
contact group,
book,
tab,
maybe.
leaving menus, leaving ribbons, name edit, test group, type in B, enter, list.
That didn't work. Alt-H.
Alt-H, upper ribbon, tabs, tab,
oh,
expanded,
M for members.
group,
No, that makes a bit more sense. I thought it was
members toolbar, add members button drop down pressed as pop-up, Alt followed by H,
Right.
M, C, menu, leaving menus from Outlook contact.
And at this point, then you have to choose whether you want to pick your members from the Outlook contacts or from the address book, or put in a new email contact. So it is still a bit long-winded, but if I just do that again, I'll just come out of this.
Microsoft
and
Outlook dialog. Want to save your
no, N for no. So I'll just do it again just to show you how to create a group. So Control-Shift-L for list.
Control-Shift-L, untitled dash contact group, name
You
edit,
type in the
text,
name of whatever you want the group to be, and you start adding your members by pressing Alt-H and M.
upper menu, leaving menus from Outlook contacts to move.
And then you choose from where you want to add your members, and you'd go into there and find the members to add. Maybe I'll just Outlook contacts.
Menus, select members,
There's only one anyway here.
Address book colon
just tab.
Advanced extended select list box. Name Sharon Lyons. Display
Just
enter.
press
Search
enter on my name.
Select address advanced extend member select members. OK button to add enter. Test dash contact group name edit test list box. Sharon Lyons left.
So my name is a test group and there's just one person on it and it's me. So there you go.
Escape Microsoft Outlook inbox dash Sharon Lyons at soundtechnology.e-outlook.
That's all the questions. Just stop Jaws talking there. I think that's all our questions. So we'll start to have a look at the calendar.
Just to say, Sharon, I have returned. So back again. Sorry about that, folks.
I was just showing people, Stuart, the Control-Shift-L to create a list and how you would add members into a list. It's not particularly quick because you have to pick your members out one by one, but it is a way of creating a list without having to go through too much through the ribbons.
Brilliant. We do have a hand raised, Sharon. I don't know if you have time to take a hand at the moment.
Yeah, sure.
From Hugh McGarry. So let's go to Hugh.
Hi, Hugh.
So Hugh, I will, you should be able to unmute yourself now. And I see there are some more hands raised. We'll get to those in a sec. So Hugh, I hope you can unmute yourself. Let me just send you another unmute request.
Have a drink.
You should. Hi, Hugh.
I hit that accidentally. Apologies.
That's all right. No bother. Oh, no bother. It's good to hear you anyway.
Do you want to ask a question anyway, Hugh? No.
No. I was messing about with the test group there, and I hit the wrong key.
No bother, Hugh.
Brilliant. It's not just me.
No problem. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Hugh.
Yes.
Bye. Bye.
Good to talk to you.
Okay. So let me have a look at our raised hands. We have Jessica Beale. So Jessica, I'm going to, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Jessica.
How are you?
Hiya. Hi, Stuart. Hi, Sharon. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Yeah, I just put a message in the chat, but I couldn't get it to send properly. So I don't know if it actually went through or not. So I just thought I'd raise my hand and ask it again, just in case. I just went, because when you were saying about the Control 5 for notes, I then pressed the other Control and other numbers, and Control and 4 came up with the to-do list. And I wondered how easy that is to use if you ever use it, if that's better than notes, or it's sort of a remindery thing.
Yeah, I think that's the tasks view, isn't it? I think they call it tasks.
It said to-do list, so
yes.
Number 4, control and number 4.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Control 4 is according to my notes, is the tasks view. But to-do list sounds much better. I guess notes are just notes. Notes are just like text for you to go back and refer to, whereas a to-do list are things that you can tick off as completed, probably, and maybe you can put reminders on it. Control 4, just try it here.
Yeah, you don't know anything about how easy, accessible it is or anything.
To move to an item, press the to-do list.
Sorry.
No,
No, I haven't used it before. I'm just laughing here, Jessica, because my Outlook has decided not to respond. So
I wasn't brave enough to try any further either. Just come out and ask.
I have, to be honest, I haven't used it, but I would probably I think actually I use flags on my emails, and I think it might pick them up and put them, because I've just seen there's a whole list here.
Right, okay.
So it might automatically put them as to-do items.
I think that's exactly what it does, and I think the to-do may have been renamed as tasks, or tasks may have been renamed to do.
That would make sense.
And flags is a good point to say that I often, if I get a message from somebody maybe early in the week and maybe I don't have an answer yet, or I know I need to get back to that person later, I will flag it exactly as you say, Sharon, for what's called a flag to follow up.
Yeah.
And at a certain time later in the week, it'll pop up a little window, a bit like a calendar notification, and then you can open that message and reply to it.
Actually, there's a nice shortcut for that, which I could show you if my Outlook's crashed.
Meeting controls.
She laughs
I've
hysterically.
often wondered about using flags. I've never, because I always think, I'm just going to not notice them when they pop up again. But you say it actually speaks out that it's there.
It does, yeah. It'll give you a reminder, yeah. If you
can tell it,
you can tell it to remind you.
Yeah. There's a nice shortcut for that, actually. It's Control-Shift-G. Control-Shift-G, which isn't very easy to remember for flags. And that will actually give you an option of when to be reminded. It can let you set a notification and everything, and
brilliant,
a little flag.
And then does it pop up like the calendar reminders?
Yes, it does.
Right, okay. Brilliant. I'm going to play around with that then. Thank you.
Okay, Jessica, thanks for your question and good to talk to you.
Thanks, Jessica.
Okay, I'm just going to go to one more question, Sharon.
I'm just going to try and close my Outlook.
So we have Chris Lewis and we have Eleanor Took, both have their hands raised. So Chris, we'll go to you first, and then Eleanor, if you sit tight, we'll get to you after Chris. So Chris, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Documents.
You might just need to press.
We
have you, Chris.
Yeah, I'm there. Thanks, Joe. Hi, Stuart.
How are you doing?
Chris.
This. I'm sure that it sounds like a terribly naive question, but when you get an email with loads of attachments, which I do regularly, what is the simplest way of opening them? Because I learned this workaround, which is like hit Control F, forward it, and then tab down to the attachments box, and then tab through them there. I'm sure there must be a more elegant way of doing it.
I tend to, personally, that's a really good question. I tend to go to the file menu. So I go Alt F and there's an option to save attachments. And then I will save them somewhere and go through them in File Explorer instead. I don't know whether that's would be easier for you.
That sounds equally long-winded. Yeah. No, I was just curious. I've never found a good way of doing it. So.
Yeah, it's just messy when there's more than one attachment. It just feels a bit messy because you're trying to manage them and which one's which and everything. And have I found them all? And yeah, so I just end up saving them all and then managing them in File Explorer. Like I might even create a new folder for them, and you can do that. And even, you know, you can go save attachments. Let's see if I have an attachment here. You can do
red flag.
I've got some attachments here. So if I've got a red flag on this as well. which I don't need actually, so I could clear that now. So I could open this email that has a few attachments, and I can go Alt F. Okay.
Alt
and arrow
Alt
down
save
to save
attachments. Enter.
attachments.
OK to activate, press space bar.
And there's a little dialog box that comes up that's mysteriously quiet here, but it selects all the attachments.
Save all, multi-select list box attachments, multi-select list box Onyx Pro SQ.gif.
Yeah, so it actually is a list
Onyx
box
Pro, Braille Sense 6, Braille Sense,
where I can arrow up and down through the attachments, choose which one I want to save, or I think probably do Control A.
Selected.
Oh,
Braille,
no.
Braille
Okay,
Sense,
Shift, hold the Shift
Braille,
down,
Onyx Pro, selected.
select them all, and press Enter.
Enter.
And
Save
then
all attachments dialog.
And then it goes off to a File Explorer window that, and I can press Shift Tab a couple of times.
Audio note taker record.
And find, like if I wanted to put it in my Sight and Sound folder, I could
Shortcut of the week. Sight and
S
sound
for Sight
technology.
and Sound, go into
Enter.
there.
Items.
I could actually create a new folder on the fly here if I wanted to, and call it attachments by doing Control Shift N.
Control Shift N. Edit new folder, type in text.
And just say, okay, attachments.
Attachments.
Fifth. Oh, I think it was what, Onyx and Braille, something like
Braille,
that.
Enter. Attachments Onyx and Braille. 0 enter.
And press
Shell folder view.
Enter,
Items view
and I
list
think I have to tab to
items view. Folder name : menu.
Okay.
Leaving enter. Save all attachments dialog.
I know that sounds a bit long-winded now, doesn't it? But you can do that. Yeah, you can save them. Yeah, you can create a folder and save them into that on the fly, especially if they're important. You might want to do that.
I just noticed.
Someone just go on.
Sorry, Chris. I just noticed that Jonathan Abro on chat has actually given the solution that I use, which I don't know, Chris, if this is easier or not from your forwarding thing, but open the email, Shift and Tab, and then arrow left and right to move through the attachments. But I do agree, if there's more than one attachment in an email, it can certainly be
tricky. Because sometimes they kind of go on to more than one row, and so then you're dealing with a grid, and so that's why I just save them all and deal with them separately.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks,
You're
Chris.
welcome.
Good to talk.
Thanks for your patience through that.
Thanks, Niall. Okay, I'm going to just go to one more raised hand for now, and that is Eleanor Took, who has been patiently waiting for a little while. So Eleanor, you should be able to unmute yourself. I think we have you there.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Hi, Eleanor.
You haven't said anything about the context menu that you get with Shift F10.
Yes.
The option that I use from that menu is Move, especially if I've deleted something and then changed my mind and decide I want it back in another folder.
Yes, yes. That's a very good one. I almost did Shift F10. You must have sensed it. Because I was on an email there. Am I on it again? Yeah. And I said it was red flag, but it doesn't need to be. So I can do all sorts. Thank you, Eleanor, because this just gives you everything. Shift F10.
Shift F10 menu to move through items. Press up or down arrow.
And here you can reply,
forward, mark as unread.
You can mark as unread.
Add follow-up sub-menu.
Is my follow-up. So I might
follow up on this item.
There's a sub-menu, so I can press enter.
Checked.
And here actually, was it Jessica? We were talking about the follow-up flags. Here you can kind of say, flag this for tomorrow, or this week or next week. You can add a reminder.
Mark complete.
You can mark as complete. If you like to tick things off. I actually just clear the flag. So I'm just going to clear the flag because I know I don't need to worry about that anymore.
List box.
And then the flag.
Leaving attachment.
Yeah.
Anne-Marie Costello.
It doesn't say red flag anymore. Yes. Wonderful. Shift F10 or an applications key gives you the same thing. In fact, I think that was my Christmas shortcut of the week. So I'm right with you. Eleanor, definitely. Love that one.
Eleanor, thank you for that. Appreciate the question. Okay, and I'm just going to go very quickly to Norman Octon, who has been waiting for a little while as well. So Norman, you should be able to unmute yourself. Hopefully anyway. Sometimes Zoom does these funny things with muting and unmuting. There we go, Norman, we have you.
Right, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. I just put in a message and I wasn't sure whether it got through. If you're on a bundle of attachments, and you may want to save them all, there's a context menu that you get by pressing Alt and down arrow. And one of the options there is to save all attachments, so you can save, it works from 1 upwards.
Yes.
And you can save, one attachment if you want to. And then 1 or 2 other things, which I can't remember because I haven't got Outlook open at the moment.
Here, I'll show you. Actually, I'll do exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
So it's very handy that I got an email this morning with several attachments on it.
Yeah.
So you did, what did you do?
Alt and down arrow.
Alt and down. Did you go to the attachments?
Yeah, you have to be on the attachments.
To move to
on the cluster of attachments. Yep.
Alt down arrow.
Alt down arrow menu to move through items. Press up or down arrow. P. Preview. P.
So preview.
Preview.
Open.
Quick print. R. Save as. S.
Save as.
Save all attachments.
There's your save all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Upload sub menu. Upload all
attachments. That looks dangerous.
Yeah.
Remove attachments. Copy. Actually, that's another one that you've just made me think of. You could do select all. Maybe.
Enter leaving menus, attachments to move.
So you do shift tab to your attachments. You could do select all and probably control C.
Selection to
right. Yeah, probably.
Inbox dash shift documents.
Yeah. And control V wherever you want them to be. Yeah, that worked.
But it's that little menu was a goldmine. Yeah.
Yeah, we like that. So that was Alt down arrow.
Alt down arrow. Yeah.
Alt down.
Alt down arrow menu to move through items.
Yeah.
Press up or down.
Brilliant. Thank you, Norman.
Okay, Norman. Appreciate that.
So I'm not great with names. It's the very patient person that I took through save all attachments there. He might like that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that a previous hand? I don't have the list of contacts here, so list of participants, I mean. So apologies, I'm really bad with names. So that might be, so go to your attachments area, select all and copy and paste. We like the old favorites, copy and paste, don't we? Control A, Control C, Control V. Brilliant. And we still haven't got to calendar yet. So
documents to move.
How are we doing with hands, Stuart?
Yeah, we've no hands, so we're good to go on calendar.
No hands.
And actually, I did get an email about calendar, some specific questions about calendar from Sarah Campbell, who I think is with us today. And Sarah was talking about all-day events, which are the vein of her life, I think, and an inability to delete all-day events in her calendar. And I think some of this is to do with how the calendar has been set up, how permissions are set up, because I don't have this issue, and I was trying to replicate it yesterday when Sarah emailed me, because I don't have a problem with in deleting all day events that I have created. I suppose if there are events that someone else has put into your calendar, there may be different permissions. So I'm not actually sure. But Sarah, if we haven't explained that and you're still here, do raise your hand if you want to come on, and you will explain it far better than I did, I think.
So now to get to the calendar, we'll have a look at that. You can do Control-2 to get to your calendar, or you can use your Control-Y for the folders and it's actually in there. I personally usually have, I'll do Control-2 here. I usually have 2 windows of Outlook open. I have my inbox and my calendar open separately. And the way I do that is I just open Outlook from from the menu again. So I just do Windows OU for Outlook and enter. And it comes up in my inbox, and I do Control-2 for a calendar.
Calendar-Sharon.Lyons@Sound-Technology.
And then I can Alt-Tab between my inbox and my calendar. I don't know whether that's a visual thing, but I like to have both of them open so I can switch between them rather than doing Control-1 and Control-2. Yeah, calendar then, Control-N for a new, same as email, so Control-N for a new appointment. Or you can do Control-Shift-A for appointment if that's easier to remember. Control-Shift-2 for a Control-Shift-Q for a meeting, which will give you an option to put in attendees, invite attendees. So you can put in a title, you can put in your date, start time, end date, end time. There's your all day event that you can tick. And you can also
make recurring location button.
You can put in a location, and you can type in a location of where you can actually put postcodes in here and I think and stuff, or air codes. I've certainly tried it with air codes here in Ireland, which is very useful for me when I'm trying to find a school out in the country somewhere and the air code is the main piece of information to get to the right place. And when you've finished all of that information, you can do Alt-S to save and close. And that goes into your calendar. You can tab to your different events. So if I press tab,
visit and Kinsale, Thursday, 6 January 2020.
That's if I do Shift tab, it will go to today's
webinar Wednesday, Demystifying Microsoft Outlook,
which is today's webinar. And in that, I find it very useful to put the webinar Wednesdays into my calendar because it has the link. So I can just go in there and find the link and head on into a webinar there. Another thing I would use a lot is the Alt and up and down arrows. So I have my view set as a week. You might like it set as a day, but I can go Alt down
arrow, Sharon.Lyons@Sound.
It will go to the next week, and I can, and it's gone to Thursday next week. And Alt up
arrow, work week view, one total work, visit and hold for webinar Wednesday,
Okay. I can then go back to the previous week. You can do different views. You can do, oh gosh, let me get this right before I mess it up. Control Alt and 1 for day view. Control Alt and 2 for work week. Control Alt and 3 for full week, which has the Saturday and Sunday in it. Control Alt 4 for month. I'm just going to put mine back to work week. And Control Alt 5 for schedule view, although I didn't find that very accessible. So you can choose, or you can have a couple of days if you want. So you can have, I think it's Control 1 for one day. Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened there. Sorry, it's Alt 1, not Control 1. Control 2. Alt 1 for 2 days, Alt 2 for 2 days, sorry, Alt 3 for 3 days, Alt 4 for 4 days, and you can keep going. So you can have Alt 8 for 8 days and pretend there's 8 days in a week. That would be handy. But I'm going to go back to my work week. So you can decide how you're going to view it, but whatever way you view it, you can tab and Shift tab between your appointments. You can move away. You can do go to a particular date. Control G.
Control G. Go to date. Date.
We'll go to
enter. Calendar Sharon.Lyons.
Where are we there?
15.
We're
12:30 to 13:00 Tuesday
25th of January there. So I could add something in on the 25th of January. And if I wanted to go back to today, I can do Control T for today.
work week view, 1 total event, 0,
Sharon,
0,
just
0,
one
0.
thing worth mentioning for screen reader users in particular, and I think this might be linked to one of the issues, Sarah's issue that she emailed about yesterday with the all-day event, is that I have found in a situation where you have maybe a lot of things scheduled on the one day, maybe 5 or 6 different meetings. If you have anything other than day view set, JAWS does not read them all. When you tab along, sometimes it just reads the first 3 or 4. So I tend to work in day view all the time now.
So you'd be Alt 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. It would be interesting if anyone else is kind of here today using this calendar, and if you find that a particular view is working well for you. But for me, day view is the one that seems to have been most consistent in terms of reading out appointments. So if you're finding that,
you go left and right then for left for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Day view, 2 total events, 12:30 to 13:00 Friday.
Yeah. Okay. And eventually it says the date. Okay. Control T back to today. Yeah. It's simpler with the day view, isn't it? Just to maybe JAWS can't handle more than one day at a time.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but it's just if somebody is having problems with that, it might be worth trying on the day view. Norman says where I used to work, they were always encouraged to use day view, so that's interesting.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
I think possibly using week view or month view it's more of a bit of a visual thing.
Yeah.
So that's probably, for me, I probably use week view so I can see the whole week. But
Sharon, we have a message on chat that I think you'd need to hear from Svetlana in Russia. And Svetlana is a great attendee of our webinars, but she says, is there any chance you could send a cheat sheet after this wonderful webinar? She says she would promise you mulled wine if you could send that through Zoom. So I think we need Svetlana's mulled wine. You know, it's just after Christmas. I think we can still drink mulled wine and mince pies or something.
Drink mulled wine any day of the year.
So Svetlana, please send the mulled wine and we'll send the cheat sheet. I think that's a fair deal.
You want my messy notes? I do have notes here, which is pretty much everything that we've done. So I could send them around. I'm not a great fan of lists of shortcuts, which is why I like to do one shortcut a week, because when you tell someone about a shortcut, sometimes some people need to know how to use it and put it in context. So yeah, but just for you, Svetlana, you can have my cheat sheet.
Svetlana and her wonderful colleagues in Russia at the Elita Group. So yeah, definitely. And just Sarah Campbell has been on chat to say that Dayview is working better, thanks. So she's been switching to Dayview already. So that's really great to hear.
There you go. That's the key to the calendar.
Key to the calendar, yeah, definitely.
Now I zoomed. I went quite quickly through calendar there. If anybody has any questions on that, I think my favorite one is probably Control T. That always brings you back to the present. For today.
So I do have one hand raised, Sharon, maybe potentially from the calendar, and that's Jessica again. So Jessica, just going to unmute you and feel free to jump in and ask your question. Here you go.
Hello. Hi again. Sorry, I can't understand with the chat why it won't let me go to everyone, but I don't know, maybe it's something on my Zoom, but never mind. But I just wanted to say that when you did Alt and up and down arrow, that also was working on the day view.
Right.
You can go from one week to the next on the day view mode. It's brilliant. Thank you.
Yes. So that's a really good point. So if you're on the day view and I do Alt up
arrow, Sharon
it goes back to last Wednesday. Yep.
Alt down arrow, day view,
and then to this Wednesday, and then Alt down,
arrow, day view,
next Wednesday.
Alt up arrow.
Yeah,
brilliant.
So that's really really going to be helpful for not having to switch between month and day and because I always found it really complicated, and now that Alt and up and down, and I also, because I pressed left and right arrow to start with, because I obviously can't even remember how my keyboard works, that goes back. That's like on sorry, I'm excited, on internet where you can go back and forward between pages, so it went like back to my inbox and then my calendar. It's brilliant.
Oh, Really? How did you do that? That's great. Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I've learned
Happy
something
mistake.
new.
Yeah.
I like them.
Oh, they're the best.
Thanks very much,
thanks, Jessica.
Thanks.
Thanks for that.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Mike was just asking in chat as well about the shortcuts for the calendar. It's actually worth mentioning to people that there's a whole load of, you can get shortcuts for the calendar, and there's quite a lot of them actually if you invoke the JAWS help, which is JAWS key with H. If you're in the calendar view, you'll get all your little shortcuts in the virtual viewer.
What's that? JAWS key.
JAWS key with H. Or insert and H, I think it would do it.
It doesn't want to work for me for some reason.
But yeah, so that's another way to get rather to get help in the virtual viewer as well.
You are focused
here we go.
Outlook calendar. You can select one of the
Ooh,
four views with the
wow.
following keystrokes: Alt plus
Okay.
Control plus 1 moves
You don't
to
need
the
my
day
cheat
view.
sheet.
Alt plus Control plus 2 moves to the work week view, usually Monday through Friday.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah, I did actually. That was a JAWS key in F1. Gave me that for some reason. The other one didn't work. Ooh.
Calendar.
Okay. Great.
Okay, just in terms of the poll, Sharon, which we were running throughout the day, we've just closed. So the results were that we had Zoom and Teams, 30% of people keen to hear about Zoom and Teams. 25% of those polled are interested to hear about Microsoft Word. 20% of those polled keen to hear about Excel, and Google Docs and Sheets has 25% also. So
you have a winner. We have a
tough one there. It's a tough one.
My husband will be really pleased about that because that was his suggestion, was Zoom and Teams for the next topic.
I would have voted for Zoom and Teams as well. I couldn't vote being the organizer of the poll, but yeah, I would have. So we just put the poll up on screen as well there, so people, if anyone wants to explore it.
It's actually coming up on everyone's screen
because
it's on mine. I guess I couldn't vote either.
No, but I'm sure you would have voted for Zoom and Teams as well, Sharon. Okay, I'm just going to have a quick look because we have one or two more raised hands, so we'll have a quick look. Robin Christofferson has a hand raised, so Robin, we will bring you in.
And just while you're doing that, thank you to everybody for participating. Everybody managed to vote, all the participants. So that's nice to get 100%. If only you could get that in every election.
Just let me try bringing Robin in again. Robin, sorry, I think I didn't do it properly the first time.
Hi, Robin.
There we go. We got you.
Hello, hi guys.
Hi, Robin.
Just out with the hound. Alt Q, that's my favorite keystroke in all Office applications. So Alt Q, it avoids people having to mess with the ribbons in large, extent. So I would, for example, if I'm going to set an out of office, just as an example, Alt Q takes you up to a little edit box, start typing out of, and there's an autocomplete list underneath. The top item is automatic replies, and it takes you straight to that dialogue, and that works with so many things. The ribbons, even with the virtual ribbon, are still quite problematic. So to go straight to the thing you want, everything is in that Alt Q search box on all Office apps.
Yes, Alt Q. Let me just show that maybe.
It's a great point actually. I only used it the other week for I wanted to resend an email, and I was looking for the command to resend. Like I had no idea where it was, and Alt and Q got it straight away.
Alt Q upper ribbon. Type the
Alt Q. Oh, it's another way of searching actually. So I could do out of. Oh, well, out of Office. Okay.
Office menu, leaving menus. James E out of Office.
Okay, I get a few emails. But there you go, automatic replies.
Enter.
And it takes me straight there.
Automatic replies
that's great. Yeah, takes me straight to the dialogue box. Even I don't even have to go through the menus.
Make it your go-to thing for any command you don't know the other hotkey for. Rather than going to the ribbons, go straight to Alt Q and then try that first.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Robin.
Enjoy
Anything
the walk.
Cheers, thanks. Good job. Thanks.
Cheers. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Sharon. That's
a
been
nice
a
one to end on, yeah.
mammoth session. So thank you so much for giving us so much of your expertise, and wow, so many shortcuts there that
well, thanks for everyone else for sharing as well. Gosh, we learned so much as a group.
Absolutely, and that's, I suppose, what we like about these webinar sessions as well. If anyone would like to follow up on anything that's happened today, or shortcuts, or anything that you may have missed, do drop us an email, and we'll do our very best in the next couple of days to get those keystrokes for you. Thanks to everyone, as I say, for joining us. If you're around in just over 2 weeks' time for our sister webinar series, the AT Social Hub, on Thursday, the 20th of January, it's going to be quite an interesting one. As I say, we'd love you to come and tell us what you would like from Sight and Sound in 2022. We're running a little focus group, I suppose. So you will see more information about that a little bit nearer the time. But for now, thanks everybody. Take care and stay well and stay safe, of course. I know we keep saying it, but I think we still need to be very careful and mind ourselves. Sharon, thanks again, and
You're very
talk
welcome.
to you all
Thanks, Stuart.
very soon.
Great team.